the Securities and Exchange Commission has delayed a key innovation exemption related to tokenized assets. This exemption was expected to clarify how the SEC views digital assets that represent traditional securities. The delay comes after concerns arose about third-party tokens, tokens issued without the backing or consent of public companies whose shares they represent. These tokens raise a fundamental question. Can a blockchain-based asset mirror a regulated security without the issuer's involvement and still grant investors the same legal rights they receive in traditional markets? The SEC staff had already drafted language for the exemption and was preparing to release it, but recent discussions with market participants and stock exchange officials have highlighted unresolved issues. The agency is now weighing feedback on how to distinguish between issuer-backed tokenized securities and products that merely track or mimic stock exposure. The core of the problem lies in the legal and practical challenges of ensuring that tokenized assets grant the same dividends, voting rights, and protections as traditional securities. Tokens can move across blockchain networks, changing hands outside the traditional systems used to track ownership and rights. This complicates the SEC's ability to enforce investor protections and ensure market integrity. The delay does not mean the exemption is off the table. Bloomberg Law reported that no decisions have been. Most people arrive after the move is obvious and the easy upside is gone. We focus on serious crypto education and high-quality signals before the crowd rushes in, so you can understand the setup earlier and move sooner. If you want that edge, visit the link below now. Made to alter the initial draft proposal. However, the pause indicates that the SEC is still working to define the boundaries of what qualifies as a legitimate tokenized security. Former regulators have expressed concerns about whether tokenized assets can guarantee the same rights as regulated securities. This is a critical issue for market participants who are eager to see clearer rules for blockchain-based financial instruments. The SEC's hesitation reflects the complexity of balancing innovation with investor protection. If third-party tokens are allowed without proper oversight, they could undermine the legal framework that ensures fair market practices and investor confidence. On the other hand, if the exemption is too restrictive, it could stifle the development of tokenized assets and limit the benefits of blockchain technology in finance. The next signal to watch is whether the SEC will issue revised guidance or clarify its stance on third-party tokenization. Market participants are likely waiting for the agency to provide a more detailed explanation of its concerns and how it plans to address them. Until then, the regulatory environment for tokenized assets remains uncertain, and market actors may proceed with caution. The SEC's decision will have far-reaching implications for how tokenized assets are structured, traded, and regulated in the future. The mechanism at play involves how tokenized assets are created and managed on blockchain networks. Unlike traditional securities, which are governed by clear legal frameworks and centralized record-keeping systems, tokenized assets rely on decentralized ledgers that can be accessed and transferred globally. This presents a challenge for regulators who must ensure that investor rights are preserved even when assets are moved across jurisdictions or networks. The stakes are high for both regulators and market participants. For the SEC, the challenge is to maintain market integrity while fostering innovation. For investors and issuers, the stakes involve access to new financial tools and the potential for more efficient capital markets. If the SEC moves forward with a well-structured exemption, most people arrive after the move is obvious and the easy upside is gone. We focus on serious crypto education and high-quality signals before the crowd rushes in, so you can understand the setup earlier and move sooner. If you want that edge, visit the link below now. Could open the door to broader adoption of tokenized assets and provide much-needed clarity for market participants. But if it proceeds too cautiously, it could leave the door open for unregulated or risky tokenized products to proliferate. The next signal will likely come from the SEC's internal deliberations or public statements. If the agency issues revised guidance or a formal notice of delay, it could signal whether it is leaning toward a more inclusive or restrictive approach to tokenized assets. Until then, the market will remain in a holding pattern, waiting for the SEC to provide direction on one of the most pressing regulatory questions in financial innovation.